Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Sunday night live show. And we have got more football on the screen, and this time it is, again, teams that we are looking at for fantasy, which is very good. State of Origin was good, but this we got a little bit out of, obviously, with a pinch of salt, obviously, because there's a few players missing, and obviously Match Sim is Match Sim. But good to have football back. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials, and we have got pretty much a full panel tonight for you. So we'll go around the room as we always do. Jordox, good to have you back on, mate. How are you? Did you enjoy some football action over the last sort of 6 or so days?
In theory, I did. It was cool that footy was back, but it was just a tease, I found. So it was good, but I don't know. Get that out of the way and let's get on to the next lot with the official practice games, and even them, get them out of the way. I just want the real stuff now. But I'm good, mate. Good to see you and see the boys, and yeah, let's go.
Yeah, beautiful. Exactly right, mate. Taezer, mate, how are you? Enjoy some football?
I have just got over the vertigo induced by the camera work from the Pracky games. Look, I'm glad footy's back, but let's wait for the real thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, the camera work was a little bit dodgy, to say the least there. And Tom, how are you, mate? Did you enjoy some football on the weekend?
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to grab that much due to playing cricket and various other things with work. So I'm going to be taking a back seat and letting these guys who watch lots of football take the front seat through this pod.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, seeing as everyone's been negative, I'll also say the thing that annoyed me on the weekend was the commentator saying Dan Annabelle. That really, really grinded my gears. Unbelievable. Annabelle. Seriously, but there. But we do have the return. We've been all waiting for it, and I'm sure everyone at home has been waiting for it. It is Guesty is back on the pod. He's had back-to-back off seasons on holiday, doing bits and bobs, but it's good to have him back on. Guesty, mate, how are you, and how's your off season been, mate? Obviously, a bit of travel in there as well.
Yeah, mate. Well, I'm nudging 50, right? So the old fellas always come back a little late from the off season. And yeah, I'll take a bit of an extended break. Got to do a bit of travel, got to the US, got to Mexico, got to Colombia, and I'm about to head off as well on a bit of a golf trip to Vietnam and Thailand. So yeah, after knuckling down for a while, I'm getting a bit of travel in. But yeah, the more and more podcasts I listen to, the more and more excited I'm getting about the season to come. Yeah, it's and of course we're now into the games. I mean, like you said, pinch of salt when it comes to the match sims, but this all gives us that little extra gravy, and this is where we can kind of end up messing up our teams as well. I know the last couple of years, certainly a few too many speculative picks for me, so I'm trying to keep it straight and narrow this year and just stay with a pretty vanilla team. But yeah, keen to see how things shape up. It's looking like it's going to be a pretty exciting season.
Yeah, exactly. Funny enough, Reese in the chats talking about the Annabelle one, saying it was Richard Chairman. No, it was actually the other guy. It wasn't Richard Chairman. No, it was the other guy. I forgot what his name was, but yeah, it was just annoying me. I hate when players. Well, I know Liam's chatted about this before on the pod, but I'm also the same. But I stuff up some names, so I can't be throwing too many stones. But Guesty, you're obviously not on the pod tonight for too long, but thought we'd drop some exciting things about Infinite Wealth and what we've got for this season. Obviously, Infinite Wealth sponsoring the pod pretty much since the inception of it, and with the Content Creators Cup and some fun goodies for the listeners. What have we got in store for this season?
Well, it is that time of year again, mate, where we roll out the Content Creators Cup, and we're going to do a bit of a repeat of what we did last year. That seemed to work really well. I'll give the coaches out there an opportunity to be the 20th coach in the Content Creators Cup and go up against not only probably a bunch of guys that you listen to, but also a bunch of hats as well. So, whether it's Holmesy from Pod who runner up again last year for the second time now. Whether it's DC from Hat Chat, or whether it's long-time fantasy legend now, DT Lemon. This is your chance to really kind of go up against some of the best and show us all what you got, right? So for those coaches wanting a chance to be the 20th coach in the Content Creators Cup, get along to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy. I think Bales is going to stick it in the comments there for those of you watching it on YouTube.
Pin message in live chat.
Yeah, and just fill in your details there, and you'll go in the draw for a chance to be the 20th coach in the Content Creators Cup. It's going to run for 2 weeks now, so we're basically going to draw that on the live Sunday night pod after round 0, but of course before round 1, so we can get the coach in the competition and crack on for the year. Now, just as a little extra bonus there, we're going to give some free stuff away. So this is, once again, what we've kind of done every single year is give away something that normally our clients do pay for. So I've got a training that's available there for whether you're a first home buyer that's looking to get into the market using the first home guarantee 2.0 scheme that the government is currently running, or whether you're a homeowner who wants to learn how to pay your mortgage off up to 3 times faster. There's 2 separate trainings there depending on which one suits best for you. So when you enter all your details, it'll give you the opportunity to choose which one of those, and we'll flick that through, and hopefully that's something that can make a difference to a bunch of people out there financially. Like I've been able to do with thousands of clients over, what is 25 years now. I've helped people. I was figuring it out last year. You know how we do our numbers every year, Bales? I was doing mine recently, and I've helped people invest over $1 billion. So something I'm pretty proud of. And look, our clients have done very well out of it as well. So look, if you think that'll make a difference, get along. But of course, if you just want a shot at being the 20th coach, doesn't matter. Get along to the link, get your name registered, and we'll crack on for the year.
Yep, exactly. And for those that are watching the replay and maybe can't access it through the live chat, it's just on the screen there. And for those listening on the Spotify or Apple, the link will be in the description of the pod. But also you can head to infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy and take on the likes of me. And maybe you might hear me whinging about losing to you on the pod. Or hopefully I'll win, but we'll see how that goes. So, but yes, make sure you do click the link and get involved. But boys, we had some match sim games. So we'll go through and recap all of these match sim games. And what we'll do is we'll go through a few of the players. And if your player's not mentioned, or you'd like a player discussed, or you've got a question about a specific aspect we don't touch on, chuck in the live chat and we'll answer a few of those to wrap up the show. We'll be talking about the big players hopefully through there. So, but before we do, another sponsor, Keeper Fantasy, have jumped on for the pre-season to sponsor us. So I'm sure a lot of you have already done a couple of drafts. I had 2 drafts today, one in person and one online. If you guys are doing drafts and setting up, make sure you do head to Keeper Fantasy. Obviously, they've got a lot of new features this year, and you can also do position-based scoring, which can award different points for different positions. Like forwards can earn points for just goals, mids for just disposals, and rucks for just hit-outs. So head to keeperfantasy.com and set up your leagues there today. But boys, first game was all the way back on Monday, which it feels like a turn-in. It was sort of a weird time of having a Monday, but good for the rest for the players. But Hawthorn Geelong, one player to talk about, I think, from this game, Jordox, and I think that's Connor McDonald is the main one there. So, and also massive shout out to Hef from the Keeper League, and there's a few other legends that helped him out. But Hef keeping stats, I did it for one game for the North Melbourne game, and it was so mind numbing and so frustrating, and had to rewind, make sure it was a stat. But yeah, shout out to Hef for doing pretty much every single game across the weekend. But Jordox, Connor McDonald, 110 points. Played a fair bit of midfield, particularly the first half. What did you make of him? Did you get to catch much of this game?
No, I didn't get to watch it, but I wasn't too surprised to hear that he played through the middle, and wasn't surprised to hear that he put up the score he did. I think he ticks all the boxes for a breakout contender this year, and he's not going to be a full-time mid. We know that, but I mean, this is a guy that went at 78 2 years ago with pretty much no midfield time and dropped a little last year. But I think worst case scenario, he gets up to 80, and best case scenario, he can push up to 90. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Then we're not asking for 60, 70% CBAs. We're asking for a 40% CBA role would be really good. And I think that's where the upside can potentially come from. So Con McDonald, definitely on the watch list for a lot of people, but I think he's in a few teams there as well. But obviously with his match sins, we've got to take with a grain of salt. few players missing from all these teams, obviously state of origin commitments, but we do want to see good roles and some good scores. It's always nice. But yeah, definitely be keeping that in mind. But that's pretty much it from that game. If any players from that game you want to discuss, as I said, put it in the live chat. We'll answer those a bit after. We will move over to...
Just quickly, there was one guy I was really keen to see, and it was pretty funny. I saw some pretty funny tweets saying, the footy season's arrived because Geelong has a laid out, and that was Tanner Bruin, who was a laid out with illness. I was hanging to see how he goes and see if this reportedly new role at halfback is real. So we'll have to wait one more week to see that, but I'll be watching.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see how he's going in that role, Taezer.
Yeah, the other one I wanted to just briefly mention is just to keep an eye on the Geelong ruck situation. They had a combination of SDK playing in there. They had, I think it's Mitch Edwards, I'm pretty sure his name is, in the second half. So there's an opportunity there if it lines up for one of those guys. But the other thing as well is Hawthorn basically nailed all the stoppages from that game, like the hit outs. And so they're going to be a real green ruck matchup if that's what it looks like come season proper.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely something to be watching for. Geelong have always been a good matchup for rucks. Next match was on the Wednesday, and that was Brisbane and Carlton. And Kitty Coleman, Taezer, he didn't have the role we wanted. We'd heard sort of talk that he was going to play a bit of half forward, but he played exclusively there. And you just think with all those guys, Zorko, Wilmot and Jasper Fletcher, that this could be something that stays, and maybe we're not looking at starting him.
Yeah, he looked fantastic, but not in a fantasy capacity, unfortunately. He was leading out of the goal square at times, and good form, looks fit, but does not have the role. So keep him on your watch list because he's still value in the right role. And maybe if someone else gets injured in the preseason or round zero, he shoots into relevance. But otherwise, I'd probably take him out of your classic side.
Yeah, I think I agree unless he blows it out of the water in opening round. Dan Annable, Tom, he was quiet. We probably wanted to see a little bit more. I was hoping maybe a CBA or two, just preseason game, get some minutes into the midfield, but played the half forward, hardly played in the third quarter. He came on very, very late and played the fourth, but I think 31 points, not rafter. Is there a worry for you that, we get opening round to look, but is there a worry for you that he maybe isn't going to be there?
He exited my team after this game. I'm a little bit worried for his at least safety in the best 23. He may be there round 0, maybe there round 1, but I think he's not going to be entrenched like Levi was last year. After he took that opportunity with the late out in round 1. So I think there could be better rookie options who have definitely put their hand up over the course of the last week that can take his spot and maybe even at a reduced price.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they'll certainly want to see a little bit more from him. Jordox, Sam Walsh, not a huge score. I think he only had like 38 points or so, but I think the one thing we were looking for was the role. The role was good. He was in there pretty much every time on the ground. He was in the CBA. And then the big, obviously, news out of this as well, and pity for, I guess, draft coaches and keeper leagues that have gone in. But Adam Chera, hamstring injury, will be out for, I think they said up to 8 weeks. So it's a serious hamstring, so he'll be out for a while. But does this open the door for Walsh to really be entrenched in that starting midfield mix and someone that's high up on your watch list for opening round as to whether you start him or not?
I don't know if it opens the door. I feel like the door was already wide open for me. Like, the thing with Sam Walsh's role, I think is very closely connected to his fitness and how he's tracking. And if he's had a full preseason and he's looking good, I don't think he's on the wing. I don't think he's on the outer. I think he's in the guts. He's their best mid. So, look, Chera out, I guess, helps, but I think Walsh was going to be there regardless. Chera out makes me think about a Cooper Lord, but it's probably more of a keeper league thing. So forgive me.
Mate, it's all good. You've got to have your finder's keeper's hat on all the time, so it's always a
Yeah.
good thing. But yeah, obviously, Paddy Critz was the one that missed, right? So he probably just replaces whatever chair of CBA's had. But yeah, I think he will be someone that is popular if he goes well in round one. Also, just quick mention, won't chat about it much, but Jagger Smith looks like an absolute gun already. Could have had a few goals there, kicked an early goal. He'll be there. Just lock him in at your M8 spot on field and don't think twice about it. And then we'll just, I know Taze wanted me. Yeah.
Quickly about Jagger. I think the Adam Cherrer injury has more benefit for Jagger Smith. So I think he will get some of Cherrer's CBAs that he was that. I think that's the natural place for it to go. I kind of saw him mid-half forward split for Jagger. Maybe it's more inside now. I think he is the biggest lock of the 30 players, and he should be on field.
Yeah, agreed. I've got one lock that's beat him, but I'll chat about him when we get to that game. But no, definitely one versus couple that's got to be picked as well. Just quickly, sort of mention as well, no, Taze wanted to be mentioned, but Liam Reedy, clear number 2 ruck role. Pitney was the majority ruck. So if you had him on there, unless something happens to Pitney before round 1 or opening round, I'd be crossing him off your list. And Nick Newman, good news. He had some minutes in the trial, the VFL Reserves team. So it was good to see him get some minutes. Hopefully he plays in Community Series game this week. And then we have got a bit more confidence because we also get to see opening round as well with him. Bulldogs and Sydney moving there. And Jordox, I'll go to you again for this one because I know that being the Dynasty Keeper League man yourself, Lockie Jarks was very, very impressive. Scored 82 points. Again, thanks to Keeper Lee and Hef for the stats there. But look, really good, albeit Bailey Dale only played the first quarter. Knee soreness was out for the majority of the game. But still, even before that, Jarks is looking good. The question, is he a bench option or is he a D6 option?
Well, whether he's either or either, you can always flip that after one round. He's interesting. He's one of those guys that's kind of shot up in just the last few weeks. Probably when that new recruit, Carmichael, went down, because it looked like he was going to probably be thrown into a similar role right from the start. So once he went down, how do you pronounce it? Jacques. Jax.
Yeah.
Jax.
If Liam's watching, he'll let us know.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure, because I don't think there's a U after the Q in his surname. Anyway, I think, I think he's definitely the type of rookie you could easily field. So yeah, I'd probably lean towards fielding then if he's there round 1.
Yeah, and again, we get looking at opening round. Double price rise potentially there as well. So I think he's very, very keen on him to start in our sides, whether it be D6 or on the bench. Next player, Connor Buderick. Now, Tom, I don't know if it was just me. I didn't notice him in the first quarter. So I don't know if he didn't play when Dale was on and then Dale went off and then he came on. I don't know. But from second, third, fourth quarter, he was great. He was pretty much the main distributor. We obviously want to see him with Bailey Dale in the same team and then obviously Jackson see how they all go. But Buderick, any interest from you? Because I've been keen for most of pre-season, but what are your thoughts?
So I was cold at the start of pre-season because I thought he might play more lockdown as kind of that Taylor Duray replacement, kind of that medium small lockdown defender. And I think that's the role he started in quarter 1. But the last 3 quarters definitely showed what he can do when given a little bit more license to be that distributor. I definitely think it's an option, especially if we're not that confident on some of the scoring potential of our forward rookies. He could be an F6 option for us. I want to see it, and round 0 gives us that perfect cheat code to actually see what his role will be in a proper game and not just in extended squad matches.
Taze?
Yeah, the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about, and I just saw Sean in the comments put him in, is that we all like Connor McDonald, we all like Petrarca, and I certainly have Lombard on my bench. So if we add Buderick in there, that's too many guys to field from that round 3 bye. So Someone's got to go.
Yeah. Well, for me at the moment, it's Petrarca, funny enough, but I was actually impressed with Petrarca with Raul out. But at the moment, that's him. But it could be Buderick. That's the round 3 bye. Funny enough, we're all looking at round 2 and thinking, oh, geez, there's a few options here. But I think round 3 is now starting to become the issue because we got a lot of the Sydney boys that we're looking at. Obviously, the Dogs, Gold Coast, and Hawthorn. So it's it's going to be one and good. Thank you, Sean, for that because it's just something to note.
You can just play 21 that week.
Yeah,
true. If you're absolutely keen, especially with some of those being in probably maybe your bottom 6 scorers out of your 22 anyway, missing one of those might not be the worst in the best 18 week. However, having 22 playing is always a bonus, and it would have to be an extreme circumstance to be, yes, I'm okay with 21, but we'd say we'd be okay with 21 if it was a ruckman. So, given I think we've got a couple of good options that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously with the midfield mix for the Dogs, like Fraser, Sanders had plenty of time in there. I'd be waiting until Bont and Ed Richards are in to see where their roles sit. So we won't talk too much in depth about them tonight. We'll wait and see how that midfield goes. Moving over to Sydney. Oh, Jordox. Errol looked bloody awesome. 111, I think it's 111 points he scored. Played pretty much full-time mid, obviously, with some stints at half forward, but pushing up really quickly to stoppage and playing like in that role. I know the buy's there, but are you keen on him? Because I'm pretty keen after seeing that and most of pre-season.
It's probably one of those ones that is sort of in and out of your midfield throughout the pre-season, and then performance like that makes you probably putting him back in. So I think a lot of people will do that. He'll be much more popular for that game, and I guess we'll see if there's any more info to come in the next week. But it's sounding like a pretty solid pick. Yeah,
great. And then obviously Isaac Heaney also dominated 131. He was obviously brilliant as well, and Brody Grundy was pretty good as well. I know it was up against the backup Dogs ruck, but with a few rucks failing really bad, it was good to see Brody Grundy at least put out a pretty decent showing there. So another watch as we move through into the community series next week. Gold Coast and St Kilda is next. Leo Lombard, Taezer, is probably the one that was quite impressive, pushing up the ground. And with Jake Rogers injured, I think that's probably opened up the spot for him to take there if we get a look opening round. But is he someone you're keen to start on your bench and your forward line?
Absolutely. Especially as well, he plays West Coast and then Richmond in his first 2 games. So we like rookies who are going to make cash quickly, and you can't get a better 2-game start from there. So I think he's probably still just one for the bench, but make sure he's in at least high on your watch list and probably in your team.
Yeah, agreed. Tom, you were talking about obviously Jagger being number 1 lock. I think I'll raise you one. Sam Flanders is, I think, 100. He dominated 129. Looked absolutely brilliant. I think that I know that a few people early doors in pre-season, I was probably the same with thinking mid to high 90s. I think there's triple figures and maybe 105 with him there. So he was very good. But I want to ask you about Mateus Filippo. He looked good. Role was solid. It was in the starting 3 midfielders at the start of the game, along with Naz and Flanders, and split time between mid and forward. But the one thing I noticed, he pushed up the ground as a forward. He wasn't deep forward. So after watching this, are you sort of a bit more confident in this role holding up? And obviously we got opening round to watch him, but your thoughts on Filippo?
I was always very bullish on Filippo, and that role is exactly what I want to see. Priced at 58, I think he can go in comfortably into the 70s as a minimum, and that's all we need in the forward line. I think he's a nice price. Lock him in there and throw away the key. Obviously, if round 0 changes things, he plays deep forward all the time, then we can change it. But at this stage, he's fully entrenched at either F4 or F5. Yeah,
agreed with that. Also, Max Hall dominated with a 115. He was very good. And I should have said Filippo scored 90, so good score there as well.
Yeah. I'm moderately interested in Max Hall. His back half of the year last year was excellent. He was pushing up the ground a hell of a lot more, and he did that again in this preseason game. He's someone that I've definitely bumped up my draft board. I just think he reminds me of a Dylan Moore, Graham Myers type small forward who gets really high up the ground. And we know those guys can get into that 80, 90 range. I think he's a super talented footballer, and he's getting to the point where that St Kilda side are looking to give him the ball because of his excellent use and speed and agility. So he's someone that is definitely on my wider watch list, and a big round zero store could twist my arm to go that way. Having 3 St Kilda in that forward line may not be the play, but it might be instead of one
round
of
4 bye. Yeah, round 4 bye could be a bit tricky if you have a few of those boys. But no, I do agree. Maxwell, very, very good player and a great get by the Saints picking him up there. Just quick mention as well, Petrarca, solid, did enough of what you wanted to see. Obviously, Rao missing start of the season, someone that you might be interested in. And Zeke Yorlin showed some good signs. Not huge score, only 32 points, but Gold Coast got badly beaten, missing a lot of their star players. I wouldn't read too much into the score, but Roll was good. And it looks like he'll be there. And as Tay said with Lombard, a couple of good matchups early. That's what we want with these rookies to start the season. Moving to the next game, which was Essendon and Richmond. Darcy Parish, Jordox looked good. Good seeing get through the game. Obviously, Merritt didn't play in this game, but your thoughts on Darcy Parish? He's at a cheap price low 70s. Are you keen on Parish?
Yeah, it's probably one of the ones that you can say you could take a bit out of the practice game. I feel like everyone starting a Parish did want to see or at least hear something. And he's been brilliant all preseason. Every report we've seen with his training and how he's looking. But to actually see him play a competitive game and look really solid is probably just that nice little bit of extra validation you might have needed if you were starting him.
Yeah, exactly. I think he even rested like the last quarter as well and then still put up a solid score. I think he had 71 points or so. And yeah, so he's looking really, really good. Couple of rookies as well, Taze, in Sam Grill and Sam Cumming. Obviously, Sam Grill being probably the more impressive of the two, played really well, scored 98. Obviously, albeit Sam Banks wasn't in the team, but Jaden Short was still back there. So Grill has probably locked himself around one debut. And I think even Sam Cumming had some CBAs in the second half, played as a high half forward, but showed some good signs. Probably not going to be a huge scorer, but he's probably a bench option for us. What were your thoughts on those two boys?
Yeah, really liked how both of those guys attacked the footy and were both used. So Sam Cumming was more of that high kind of forward. He did get a few CBAs towards the end. I don't know if he's going to be right in there as a CBA midfielder. I think there's just too many options there at Richmond, but I get the sense that Richmond are probably just going to have their two main guys in Taranto and Hopper, and everyone else will kind of get a little bit of a taste, and maybe that's all he needs to be a relevant player for us. And then Grill, he looked hungry for the ball. He was used regularly, took the game on. I don't think he'll be a really big accumulator, but I think he offers something different to Banks and Jaden Short. So because of that, I think that's going to be really good for his job security, and he'll get games. So make sure. Certainly, I think Cummings is probably a little bit more to see how it plays out, because he's going to be competing for that same role with other guys like Taj Houghton and the other midfielders in that team. But the Grill, he needs to be in your side and probably on ground, or certainly considered.
Yeah, exactly. He was very, very impressed. As you said, that run and carry was the thing really to note, taking the game on and using the ball well. So I think he'll definitely be there along with Sam Cumming, and I think Cumming's a solid bench rookie. Maybe he's taken, like for me, he's taken the place of like a Dan Annable, right? So that's something to be looking at with those rookies there as well. Just thought I'd quickly mention as well, Jacob Farrow was pretty good. That left foot hitting targets regularly, so he was good. So he should definitely put his name up there for Essendon when you're going into round one. Blackiston did what we needed to see. He was sharing a fair bit with Vigo Visitania, but I don't see Vigo playing in round one along with Blackiston. And then Sharp also had a pretty solid game as well, half forward. Again, another bench rookie to have there as well. Just again, asterisks as well. Archie Roberts played really well in the midfield. Zach Merritt obviously not playing. Just let's see if that role sticks. And if that role does stick, maybe he's an option to consider in defence there. But obviously Jordan Ridley will be out for a bit as well with another calf injury, unfortunately. Moving to the next game, which is Collingwood and GWS. Kieran Briggs, Tom, kick 4 as a full forward. So what did you make of his role? And is he someone that you're still considering as your R2?
The fact he kicked 4, great for him. I don't think he's great for our fantasy teams. Even if it was just he wanted to try Jake Riccardi in that first quarter, and then Briggs was the main ruck, along with a bit of Madden for the rest of the game. The fact that they're happy to put Riccardi and wanting Riccardi to gain ruck time means, is that split going to be a bit more towards 70-30 than the 85-15 that we'd probably want to see from a number one ruck? And he may have taken an injury at the end of the game. I just think we have better options than Briggs. But good for him to put out a good showing after a bit of a stinky year last year. So, but if he goes out and puts up 120 in round 0, we'll all have him. So that's just the way of round 0 and AFL fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. I think Briggs ended up having, if I'm not mistaken, just having a look at the scores that Hef put it here, I think he had 98 points from the game. So obviously a good score there as well. So we'll just have to watch and see how he goes there. Yeah, 98 points. Again, looking at the stats Hef took there. Taze, sorry, your point there. So I want to get your thoughts on what you're going to say here, and then your thoughts on Harry Rouston, who was also very impressive. A few Giants injuries. I know Jordox been keen on Rouston. Your thoughts on what you're going to say, and then Rouston.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just keep an eye on that GWS ruck line, and they're clearly trying a few different things. So that first quarter, Riccardi got most of the ruck contests, and then Briggs probably to a lesser extent. In the second quarter, Briggs did almost the whole thing. Third quarter, it was more Madden getting the go. So it was clearly like they were trying to test it out and try a few different options. And I believe in post-match, they were talking about noticing that Riccardi had the jump and was more effective at those centre squares. But then Briggs was still, the same kind of guy around the ground. So I think just keep an eye on how it looks. Certainly next week in the preseason friendly, and then in opening round. Briggs. The one thing I did really notice is that Riccardi might have had all the opportunities, but they weren't winning clearance, and he was up against a VFL level Oscar Steen, I think it was, and he wasn't getting a touch. Whereas Briggs came in and won just about every hit out. So I think he's still an option. I don't know where he sits in R1, R2, all the rest, but don't strike him off your watch list yet.
Yeah, and we get that look in opening round as well, Jordox.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I actually found the Briggs playing forward as sort of more enticing to have him. And what I mean by that is my concern with starting Briggs is just that obviously I didn't expect Jake Riccardi to be given a crack, but I know Nick Madden, who got a game or two last year, is someone they really like. And there's a lot of good talk about him, and he's building nicely. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get another go this year. So that made me nervous. But knowing that Briggs can go forward and kick a bag, it makes me a little bit more confident in him, just having that ability to go forward and, not just sit on the bench if he's sharing. So I think Nick Madden will emerge at some point this year. We'll have another look at him, and, Briggs can go forward, kick sausage rolls, and we won't complain.
Yeah, exactly. Taze, your thoughts on Harry Rouston? There's obviously a few injuries at the Giants, and he looked really good and took his opportunity with both hands in this one.
Yeah, so I'd probably just temper everything by saying, including the Coleman winning level performance of Kieran Briggs, that it's Collingwood probably of all the sides had the most players missing. Just about anyone of note, it was essentially their VFL side. So Harry Rowson won a lot of it. If the scoring from Heth is correct, he tonned up. But he turned up against the VFL side, and he was scoring tons in the VFL last year, so we didn't really learn anything from that. GWS were also missing probably 3 players that you would assume are in their better team in Tom Green, Finn Callahan, and also Cogs is another one that's usually thereabouts. So I'm really interested in Ralston. I'm going to be watching intently next week. I think there's a world in which he is their third midfielder as far as CBAs and opportunities. They also GWS ran quite a tight, I think 4-man rotation in there. If you have a look at the CBAs, he had about 70-odd%, along with Clary Oliver, and the third player escapes me right this moment. I want to. That's the other one. Sorry, yeah, that's the other one. I just want to kind of temper it all with soft opposition, and let's see what happens when a few of these guys come back. Because one of the things that makes a mid-pricer dangerous is if he's that third to fourth mid, and then Finn Callahan comes back into the side and he, has massively reduced role and game time. He goes from being a smash play to a, someone you've got to get out of your side really quickly.
Yeah. The one thing I would say with Harry Ralston, I was talking about this on the Breakouts video I did last week on YouTube, was that he's priced at 52. And if you remove the games where he was sub, or he played less than 60% game time, and you just take out 60% or more TOG, 6 games last year, averages 73. So you got 21 points of upside of potential baked in sort of sub-impacted games. So even if he goes at 75, 80, which he did with Tom Green and Finn Callahan there, obviously Oliver will probably just replace Green anyway. If you think 75, 80, it's not a bad pick. It's a pretty good pick considering around his price. But yeah, as you say, agree. Watch him again. Watch him opening round. Big one that's obviously brilliant because he's got the round 4 bye. You can wait until that round 4 and you can make some cash if you start him. So yeah, one to definitely put on the watch list if he was not there already. Moving over to the next game, which was Melbourne and North Melbourne. And this is the one I did the stats for. And yeah, it was a tough watch. That's that. Probably I'll just leave it at that. Put it that way. But the players from this one, I think that the big alarming thing, and I want everyone's thoughts on this because this was for me the biggest alarming. Jordox, so start with you, Tristan Sherry. I don't want to overreact too much with a match sim. He played State of Origin the week before. He might have been taking it easy, but he did not look good. He got out jumped a lot of times by Max Heath. His follow-up work around the ground was non-existent. His tackling was non-existent. Again, tackling in pre-season games is not everything. But he just wasn't marking the ball. There was no real improvement in terms of that transition-based game. And that worries me priced at 105. Good early run for him, though, and I'm still not crossing him off just yet, but I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think in general terms, it's okay to be concerned with that style of ruck when we're paying such big money for him. And the new rules and the changes, we don't know yet. But, and I didn't watch this. I will say I didn't watch the game, but I did hear that Max Heath, ran rings around him, would you say? Something like that. There's one player in that's played State of Origin a week ago, isn't there to prove himself. He's the big boy, number 1, happy days. And then you got Max Heath, who will be doing cartwheels to get a chance to play with and help Melbourne with Max Gawn. And Heath was behind Marshall for so many years at St Kilda. So I wouldn't look at it as that game on its own, but I think we have seen a bit of a trend across the practice matches that those bigger rucks are perhaps going to struggle a touch, but only until they work out the best way to get around it. So, I think Cherry will be fine for the year, but you'd be right to be nervous about starting him or any of those other big over 100 rucks.
Yeah, that's just my concern there. And again, he's not crossed off. He's still on the list very much so. And I want to see it again in the community series game, but just it was a big flag watching that. I wanted to see just something, but I didn't see anything there. And also, we have an R3 that we'll chat about soon that you could input R2 that maybe is unlocked, maybe an English or a Grundy instead, which has maybe put this a bit more under the microscope. Taze, I want to get your thoughts, and Tom as well, but I think we lost Tom at the moment. I can't see him on my screen at the moment. But Taze, your thoughts on Tristan Cherry?
Yeah, I think the most concerning thing about Cherry is that it's the way he didn't look good. So all the things we were concerned about, that maybe he didn't have enough transition scoring, that he would have he would have more mobile ruckman jumping over his head. That's what happened. So it's kind of like the worst fears of how it could play out, played out exactly in that way. Definitely still needs to be on watch lists. I'm going to echo everything else that's been said, but he's sure that he would have to go out. He's going to play Collingwood next weekend, I think next Sunday, and you want him to be looking really good if you're going to start him in your side, because otherwise I don't know what you would be basing on that he has upside.
Yeah, agreed. Tom, your thoughts on Tristan Cherry?
I'm gonna be the shining light for Tristan Cherry here, because this is a pre-season game. Cherry's not a jumping ruck. He's not going to be able to jump. He's a wrestler ruck. Max Heath is playing for his best 23 spot, and yes, he got outplayed, but Cherry still was on top around the ground within the ruck contests when he could get back to his wrestle. He may lose a few hit outs in the centre square, and that to what he did last year. But I also don't think that, based off one pre-season game, that all the positivity around him just gets thrown in the bin. If he comes out next week and looks horrible against Darcy Cameron or Oscar Steen, then I'm all on board of let's jump off Cherry. But I don't think for him basically just a glorified training run to us to throw it away again. I think just temper ourselves a little bit until we see it again next week.
Yeah, and that's a very good point you raised there as well. It's just when you look at the R3 option that we've got, and that maybe opens the door for a Grundy or an English, and you've only got what's that 21k difference between Cherry and Grundy, and then what's that 61k between English and Cherry. And we think English and Grundy will be more suited for the rules. That's, I guess, where it's probably this conversation has probably come up, because I think we all had him at R1 and we're like, yeah, good early run, let's lock him away. But I think we probably just need to think about it a little bit and watch him in this next game. Yeah,
and that's perfectly not making big conclusions about everybody from especially the good players. The traders say it really well. If you're a good player, you don't try in these pre-season games.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Games don't mean too much. And Cherry probably thought, I played State of Origin last week. I'll just take it easy this one, and we'll get to a bit more form next week when it's their last hit out before round one. We will move to the last two games and some listener requests. So keep getting your players in if we haven't discussed them, or any questions you guys have. We'll be answering a few of those shortly. But obviously, we do have Keeper jumping on as a sponsor this year. We also have Game Day Squad, obviously the ultimate dynasty platform there, bringing all the best parts, and obviously another fantasy platform to be playing there as well. And the best part about it is, if you use the code BAILSDT when you sign up, if you're a new user, you get some free packs to get your journey started as well. It's a free-to-play platform. You don't have to pay to play, which is obviously the best bit about it. And it's obviously we get opening round fantasy in Game Day Squad, and you also get finals as well. So if you are a fantasy nuffy like myself, and you want to have another platform to play and play during opening round and the finals, head to gamedaysquad.com.au, use the code BAILSDT at sign up, and you can start collecting and making your club bigger from the get-go. Let's move over to the showdown pre-season game, Port and the Crows. And obviously what I was referring to, Jordy, Taze wants me to throw to him. So Taze, Lachlan McAndrew was, hang on,
No, I was just going to say there was a couple players that I think were quite relevant in that North Melbourne and Melbourne game that we didn't touch on. So
Oh crap!
Harvey
Yeah,
Langford.
no, sorry. Okay, yeah, hang on. No, I missed 3 players. No, I thought Trish Cherry yeah, cool, we're done. No, I missed most of that game
Nah,
of players there. So no,
Bales,
Taze, thank you.
Bales just wanted to talk about his Crowies. I get you.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah, I do. But I will digress and go back to Melbourne and North Melbourne. But no, good point. Taze, Jack Steele was pretty good in this one. Your thoughts on how he looked as that number 1 mid for Melbourne?
Keep it moving. Ticked all the boxes. Was involved in transition. Tackled. Did everything. Yeah, put him in your side.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. Now, Tom, there's a couple of Melbourne players I want to throw to you because you asked for one of them to be requested on the run sheet, that being Caleb Windsor. But your thoughts on him and also Harvey Langford, because Harvey Langford was good, but racked up late. I think he had like a 35-point last quarter from what I tallied down, which I think was nearly double his score. And Caleb Windsor just didn't really get involved, even with a bit of a midfield role.
Yeah, start with Harvey Langford. I think the big bump in midfield time that we were all hoping maybe isn't going to come this year, or at least to start the year. I think it's still going to be that forward wing, some inside time split for him, which I think rules him out as an option in that midfield priced at about 60. You need to get into the 80s to be a good pick. So I don't think he's quite there yet. Caleb Windsor was a big disappointment for me. He had the role. He had lots of CBAs. He was in and around the ball, but didn't touch it very much. The game just seemed to be a little bit too quick for him, as in when he wasn't playing against his own midfielders, like we've seen in intra-club games. Not willing to rule it out yet because the role was there, and we'll see next week whether he gets a bit more up to speed in that inside role. But it seemed to not be what I would want to fill quite a precious defensive spot with lots of defensive options, especially at the cheaper end coming out the woodwork.
Yeah, I only had him down for 36 points, which is, as you say, really disappointing. That's less than what he's priced at. So you certainly wanted to see a bit more from him, Taze. You had a point you wanted to discuss there as well?
Yeah, I just wanted to just address him because I can see there's a bit of kind of groundswell about Caleb Windsor, and I've had some robust conversations with a friend of the pod, Louis from Pod, and I don't see Caleb Windsor being an accumulator that we need in AFL fantasy. He kind of has never been that kind of player through his career. He's an impact player. He tucks the ball under his arm and or bounces and runs. He gets handball receives, which are great, but he's not there clapping his hands and calling for cheap marks or anything like that. So I think he averaged about 70 odd as a junior. He's averaged about 70 odd in the VFL, and he's priced at 50 odd in a line where there are other options. So even if you think he might have 15 to 20 points upside, I can think of 3 rookies off the top of my head that have more than that.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, 100%. And then just with Melbourne as well, Trent Rivers, solid role. Lindsay was good, but I don't think we can read too much into it just yet because you also had Salem only played the second half and didn't touch it much in the last quarter. Jath only played the first half, and Xavier Taylor come on last quarter. I think Xavier Taylor's probably not going to be there. I think that's what Dylan Alexander was saying to us. He probably is just on the outside at the moment, but he only played the last quarter. So we didn't really get any answers from those defender options from Melbourne, but that'll be a big watch this week to see who's that number 2 guy behind a Christian Salem potentially as an option for us. And then Lockie Doverston, just final one there, didn't really do much to sort of trigger too much of my interest just yet. He might be an option for us, but I want to see a bit more. But North got really, really smashed, and that was with a lot of Melbourne players missing, and North just that they could be in a bit of trouble if they don't get their game going quick smart. So I wouldn't look at like a Harry Sheasel score or anything like that because North weren't very good, but I think Sheasel will be fine. Now we can move to the showdown. So apologies for missing those couple of players there. We are pushing along and moving forward. But Jordox, we might have an R3. We might have a brand new ruck at the Crowies. Lachlan McAndrew looked good. Offered, I think, the things, not being disrespectful to Rob, but offered the things that Rob couldn't give us with the follow-up work, the height, and winning the hit-outs. I think his jumping will be a big factor in that as well. And he took some contested marks, which is really good to see there as well. But I want to pair this also with Dante Vicentini, because does McAndrew potentially present as an R2 option, or is he just an R3 option that maybe makes a Dante Vicentini a viable starting R2? Because I think we're a bit nervous starting a Vicentini R2, but May makes a bit more possible with McAndrew there. So your thoughts on the two, and where you sit with them potentially in your side?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, McAndrew is going to be in every squad. Like you said, it's just who's got the cojones to put him at R2. And look, I could see an argument for it. I could see an argument for having him and Vicentini at R2, and he can swap the two around. But
I think you suggested in our group chat, could you go Briggs, Vicentini, McAndrew? And I think we all said, no, I think none of us have got the.
No, I think Taezer. We'll throw to Taezer now. I reckon
maybe that was Taezer.
Yeah, I reckon he's bullish on the idea, and I can see the merit in it, but it just feels a touch risky. And you can have your parachute out of their plans, in rounds 2 and 3 if unbelievable luck befalls you and Riley O'Brien's recalled and Jordan Sweet's recalled. I just think there's so much value across the ground already. Like, where are you going to put that money? It's a big saving if you're going with that, with Vicentini at R2 and then obviously McAndrew at R3. But I'm more confident on McAndrew than Vicentini. I'd be surprised if we'd seen the last of Jordan Sweet. And I think these rule changes don't help old Rob Dog. So, yeah, Taze, what do you reckon, mate? You were considering it, weren't you?
Yeah, look, I'm just seeing that it really looks like stoppages are going to be down. I know it's preseason; stoppages are always down in preseason, but it really seemed like it's going to affect some rucks, and that everyone could take a 5 to 10 point hit, even with good matchups. So, I mean, when all the top rucks are going to take a dip, I think it's a play to just go for the cheaper guys, everyone with upside, even if none of them are keepers. So I'm certainly considering it. I want to see opening round scores. I have still played with starting one of those big guys, Tim English or a Brody Grundy, but it's on the cards.
I can hear Jordy all the way from London yelling unicorn, and putting Luke Jackson potentially there. But Tom, your thoughts just on the rucks before we move on to the last few posts in this game. What are your thoughts on the whole rucks? And could you start a McAndrew at R2?
I don't like it at R2. I don't think we have an R3. My current setup is Vicentini and McAndrew at R2 and R3. I think that's makes the most sense. I think they're both going to offer value, priced at what they're priced at, and you can make a week-on-week assessment to which one you actually want to start on field. It doesn't have to be the more expensive one. I just wouldn't rule out the rucks. I think it's pre-season. I just don't think that we can read that much into the amount of stoppages we're seeing in 30-man match sims. Like,
opening round will be better
opening round, and I'll happily be not wrong, but I'll happily agree if stoppages are majorly down and rucks barely score, whatever. But I am yet to be convinced that it's going to have a huge effect from basically hit and giggle games. Try not to get into games.
As you said, it will affect the bigger rucks more, but these guys like a Tim English, Luke Jackson, Brody Grundy, guys that can, and even Darcy Cameron and Gawn, I think they'll still be fine it'll just be these bigger rucks, potentially like a Tristan Sherry. Obviously, that's why Rob isn't going to be starting the season, it looks like. So, yeah, no, agreed. Something to watch. And opening around 5 games, that's a pretty good sample size of data. We'll get a real good look then. But, yeah, I've currently got, the Vicentini McAndrew combo, but with McAndrew on field because the Vicentini matchup against Cherry in round 1. So, yeah, something to definitely be looking at there. Will Brodie, I was going to get Tae's thoughts on it, but I know these just up away quickly for a second. But, Josh, I'll ask you about Will Brodie. I don't know. He had some CBAs. He was a 4 starting mid, bit like Matt Crouch, and I think that's sort of a similar role he played, but didn't really, I guess, impress me a huge amount. Like, he got a bit of the ball. He had laid some nice tackles, but probably want to see a bit more in a Pracky game. We're not crossing him off by any means yet, and he's still very much in the mix, but what did you make of his game?
Didn't watch it too closely and didn't notice him too much. But from what I read, it was all I needed to hear.
Hang on. You're telling me you didn't watch a Crows game. What is going on?
I'm a bit like Tom. I didn't actually watch much, if I'm honest. So I'll put that out there. But I think that could be a good thing because I don't want to be seduced by what we see in Pracky matches. But no, just had a really flat out weekend with family life and all those commitments. So I'm a night game guy. Like, if it's a day game, it's hard for me to watch. Night games, I never miss them. So, but anyway, Brodie, for me, I just had to hear that he played and he had that role and he wasn't, shizen. Because as the weeks roll on, I'm getting bigger on him being more than just a 2-week guy for Port, rounds 1 and 2 with the Ollie Warren suspension. I'm really coming around to the idea that he'll stick around and be there for a fair bit longer. So, and Horn Francis having a bit of a flare up with his foot only lends itself to the idea that he'll be a bit more forward to start the season as well. Yeah, great. Yeah, it's a good point as well. And I think in my current team setup, I've got it like 300k spare, and that money could easily just be put on a rookie and put Will Brodie on field, and then there we go. So he's definitely in the mix. Him and Tanner Bruin probably fighting out, and even Harry Rouston. So yeah, definitely watching, but probably want to see just a tiny bit more. But pretty windy conditions at Alberton for that game, so it was a pretty tricky game for Peel to get involved in. And then Josh Rochelli, I guess I can chat about him because I was the Crows man that watched the game. Yeah, Josh Rochelli, role was good. Played a fair bit of midfield. Didn't have as much CBAs in the 3rd and 4th quarter, but I think the game, like they were resting a few guys there. I know Dawson only played the first half. I want to see that midfield mix in the next Pracky game. Obviously, Rankin won't play that game as well because obviously the bit of a hamstring tweak. But Saligo didn't come until the second half. Dawson only played a half. I want to see them all there and then see Rochelli in there and see how he goes. But it was good. Score wasn't huge, but I saw enough to keep him very much in the mix for our team. So he did some nice things as well. And I think if it wasn't as windy, I think he would have got involved with a few more marks in transition or a few missed targets, obviously, with the conditions. So very, very impressed with him. Now we'll move to Freo versus West Coast, the preseason version of Taezer versus Tom, or you can say Taezer versus Tom and Guesty. But I'll go to Tom for this one. I'm sure. Tom, did you watch this game? Did you watch your Eagles?
I was too busy batting, so I didn't see any of this. But
well, can you give us?
We won the first quarter, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, there you go. First quarter one for the Eagles.
Because that's only when the big players play, then we switch off and conserve our bodies. But no,
exactly.
From a serious point of view, I think everyone who we wanted to see from an Eagles point of view play well and score, we did. I thought from the bits I saw, Willem Dersma was very impressive when he got the ball. He's in a very outside role, and how much outside football the Eagles are going to be able to get is interesting. I have him in my side, but I don't have him on field. Yeah. I think he could be a bench option and could see quite large fluctuations in scores. Dev Rob was very impressive. I'm kind of coming around to the fact that his role is going to be fairly fantasy friendly. And he is definitely best 23. Seeing some inside mid-time, which is always going to be good. It's just whether he slides in at that, if his scoring can be consistent enough to slide in at that F6, or whether it should be an F7 or F8 play. And I haven't quite worked that out myself. And I'll let Taezer talk through the Freo players, because it seems to be a bit different how Freo were trying to play the game to previous few years.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, Taezer, I was going to get your thoughts on just quickly those, because I know you watched the game, about those Eagles players and also those Freo players. But obviously, one thing note for people that were watching this game, it was very, very windy. So probably hard to take a lot of the fantasy scores from here as well. But obviously, from hearing that Dersma was obviously very good, Dev Rob was good. And you also mentioned that his CBAs were really high for the first 3 quarters, but then rolled shifted a bit in the last quarter. So your thoughts on the Eagles players and then the Freo game style, probably more specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. So gale force winds really affected the play. So I think even if teams wanted to play a certain style, the conditions forced it. So just take that, into account when kind of looking at any of the scores or wondering, like, how they're moving the ball differently. There were times when Freo were trying to move the ball a little bit quicker, and keep some control over the ball. I think, especially when they were going into the wind, there was a lot of short kicks, and it was just a scrappy game. So I was really interested in how Devin Robertson, he started with I think 60% CBAs in those first few quarters, and then I don't think he had any CBAs in the last quarter. He may have even been rested in that last quarter, because it was a 7-quarter game that there were players being interchanged out in the back half of the game. So I think when it counted, he had a lot of opportunity. His scoring was good early. He was getting involved as much as anyone could in those conditions. So I think he's a big tick. Lindsay was very good, got some kick-ins, used the ball well, and was trusted by his teammates. However, I do just want to note that there was no Brady Hoff, there was no Brandon Starcevic, and there was no missing one more. Liam Baker, I think, was not there as well. I'm pretty sure. So and Liam Duggan. So like they were missing at least 3 significant players from that back line. And I'm not sure how he's going to fit in with it. And it probably really depends on how much of a opportunity for youth that West Coast are going to give. So just be aware of that. He did enough that when he's named, I think you put him in your side. But, I'm just a little bit concerned about that. It's the main West Coast guys. Will and Dersma look really good.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Freo game style, look, just take it with a pinch of salt because of the conditions. They did try and control the ball at times, and they put a lot of players through that midfield that I don't think are going to get opportunities when the season's up and firing. So I think the first centre ball up, Jaeger O'Meara was one of the 3 inside, and I just don't think he's going to be on the wing. And then they were rotating a lot of guys through. So Johnson got CBAs, Erasmus got CBAs, Murphy Reed got a lot of CBAs, Brayshaw and Sarong were obviously in there. So I think Shea Bolton. So they really shared it around, and it looked to me like they were trying to figure out the kind of mix that they want. And then the other thing is, they've been saying all pre-season that Luke Jackson's going to be in there, and he played as a ruckman. He played as primary ruck. Justin Longmuir was asked about that, and he said that they were aware of the fact that Luke Jackson had spent his whole pre-season training as a midfielder, and they wanted him to play ruck time to condition his body to the bumps and bruises that happen with being a ruckman. Luke Jackson was fantastic. He was probably one of the most influential players on the ground. He got plenty of it. As a Fremantle fan, it actually annoyed me watching, because Fremantle are a better side when he's a ruckman, not when he's a midfielder, because when he's a midfielder, it prevents someone like Murphy Reed, Hayden Young, one of these guys getting exposure to centre bounces. So if Jordy's boy, the unicorn, gets that role as a number one ruck, I'm going to start him in my side. But I do suspect Freo are just going to, go to what they are comfortable with, which is Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson splitting time. And because of that, neither of them are particularly good plays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey,
so that's a few last. Yeah.
Sorry, Bars. Just quickly, interesting. I don't know who it was from Freo talking about Luke Ryan and his spot in the best 23 and how he might not be in the best 23 at the minute. Does that get anyone else thinking a bit more about Judd McVie as a possible guy? I've been big on him all preseason, but I know others are a bit nervous. He'll be too much lockdown.
Yeah. So he does leave a bit of a hole. It looks like Brandon Walker's going to get that first shot, and that's more down to Liam Ryan only. I don't even know if he was out of the no contact hat last time I went to training. So like he was still wearing that pink no contact hat. He's coming back from surgery, so they may choose to start him through the waffle. And I mean, my first kind of instinct is that it's going to create opportunities for Jordan Clark to get a bigger share of those kick-ins. And I mean, Luke Ryan just demands so much of the ball. He always wants those easy kicks, and he gets used a lot. So if he's not there, it does open up opportunities. The concern I have with Judd McVie is that he doesn't seem hungry enough for the ball. I love what he's going to do for Fremantle because he's defence first and because he's not seagulling like Luke Ryan did, which is slowing down our ball movement. But that's not great for our fantasy. So I think there's probably a bit of room for Judd McVie. He could be a 65 guy. I'd be really surprised if he's a 75 guy.
Yeah, and 65 wouldn't be enough. You'd want somewhere in the 70s to be that pick there or after. So, yeah, maybe not as keen on Judd McVie as what we were before the game. Just a couple of questions before we do wrap up as well. Sean just had a follow-up question for, obviously, the McAndrew R2 spot. Jordox, he was asking if McAndrew is named round one and is a solo ruck, could you play him at R2 with the uncertainty around the rucks and bank 200 to 300K as a way out in case? And obviously, if you've got Vicentini on the bench or R2, but then bench him for round one anyway, you're probably fine. But is that a way, maybe if you play McAndrew R2 and you want to go red dot or even a Cooper Duff Titler at R3, do you take a bit of money to make that a bit safer, or are you just start Vicentini, and if you've got to make moves, you're doing it that way?
I think you're better off doing the inverse, which would be putting someone at R2 that, maybe you're not in love with, spending that money there, and then having McAndrew at R3, because it's probably more likely that McAndrew isn't someone necessarily you want to have scoring for you. But if he is, and this happened, cast your minds way back, fellas, 2019, this is exactly what happened with Riley O'Brien. Sam Jacobs was injured or something, and Riley O'Brien came in, and a few people put him at R3 and a few people put him at R2 because his scoring was unbelievable. So I just think it's a bit safer to start him at R3 and then have a bit of an idea, a bit of a plan to maybe shift that R2 out of your side if McAndrew is scoring like enough to be on field. Because I just think that's the less likely of the two scenarios.
Yeah. I think that's why me and Tom were talking about liking Vicentini and McAndrew as the combo, because round one, he plays North Melbourne. McAndrew has got Collingwood. You like the Collingwood matchup a bit better. But then, obviously, Port have got that good run in rounds like 2, 3, 4. They've got some really good ruck matchups. So if Vicentini's still no mind ruck, you can play him on field if McAndrew's not, I guess, hitting out the park. But then he's got English in round 2. So maybe he goes well, Tom.
Yeah, that's my. I think the Vicentini McAndrew combo is actually perfect. I don't think you can bank enough cash to get to anyone you'd want. If you're banking 200K to get to Vicentini, you may as well just start Vicentini at R2 or R3 if you really want to put McAndrew on field. The way out of that strategy is you're just going to have to turn a premium somewhere else on your ground into a rookie and turn that rookie in your ruck into a premium. And that fix-up would have to happen if it doesn't work. You can't bank enough cash because there isn't the mid-prices or the cheap mid-prices. Maybe you get lucky and get a Nick Bryan down the line, but by that point, you're probably looking to upgrade to a fully fledged premium anyway. So I cash that you're not using is not scoring points or making more cash. So leaving too much in the bank to me is that cash is not working for you. As our sponsor Infinite Wealth, we're trying to make the most out of our monies.
There you go. I guess you got another plug for Infinite Wealth there from Tom.
Yeah.
Nicely done. But no, I don't mind keeping 100, 150, maybe 200K in the bank if I've even with this team there, just if I want to fix up some things. But yeah, I agree. If you want to use the cash there, and you don't earn interest with the cash not being used, right? So it's just there, obviously, to maybe pivot if you need to in like rounds 2, which I don't mind, particularly as obviously Lee saying there, BAILSDT think was Tom Stewart laid out for Geelong. Yes, it would have been good to have some more cash to fix him early in the season there. Next question we got was Corey Blackledge. He was asking about thoughts on Harry Rats, which we discussed about, but Latrell Pickett was who wanted his thoughts on Jordox. Played really well in this game, but I feel like against North Melbourne, the matchup was there for him. He played well up the ground, so if that's a role that he's going to continue, but are you just sort of concerned that North Melbourne probably made him look brilliant, and it's going to be scary for in a few years' time when they've both Pickett running around the ball line, but he just he's more of an impact player and not going to be a huge fantasy score for us?
Yeah, I think he's a bit like Isaac Kako in that he's not someone you're going to throw on your field, but put him on your bench. He's going to just slowly but surely churn through it and create some money for you. I could see him playing a lot of footy this year. But I wouldn't have him on field. It's a sort of role that in a side that may struggle is not going to get a lot of it. But Kako played every game, I'm pretty sure. And in the end, he was starting to put up some good scores. So, he's an option Pickett, but we do have a few of them.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed with that one. Mega Bear has got this one. Taezer, can you please rank Sam Banks, who obviously we didn't see on the weekend, Miles Bergman, and Tom McCarthy? If you had to rank the 3, how would you be ranking them post the Matt Sims?
Well, I think you just have to not rank Sam Banks because he didn't play from there. So you're going off last year. He looked pretty good. He looks like he'll be that sharing that distributor role with Jaiden Short. So I'm just going to cop out and put him at 3. And then we're talking about Tom McCarthy and Miles Bergman. I think Bergman probably has the avenue to score more. He's in a team that's going to score more points. He's pretty solid with his role. And we've seen it. We've seen him go at 95 or so, I think about 100 in games where he had the share of CBAs that we're expecting he's going to have that for that role. So maybe I'm going to put Bergman at 1. Tom McCarthy, I'm going to put at 2 because he looks good. He's got a role, but his team, I think he was the highest scoring or highest averaging player in his team last year. And he had kickouts and he had CBAs and nothing's changed. So I think he's as good a player as he was last year. Where's he going to magic another 10 to 15 points to make himself a really good pick? It's probably going to have to come from West Coast winning more games and scoring more points. And I don't know yet. They certainly didn't show me that they're going to do that other than with a 5-goal win in the first quarter, which they duly won the quarter by about 5 goals.
Yep. Don't mind that. Maltesing just asking about Angus Anderson and Oscar Steen. Obviously, Angus Anderson had a pretty good game. They with midfield, and Oscar Steen was the one ruck. I've just been seeing where they sit in the pecking order when it comes to when all these Collingwood players are back. You sort of struggle to see how Oscar Steen's in the team with Darcy Kerrin, but maybe they play both potentially as that backup ruck with Mason Cox not there. And Angus Anson's been good, but obviously no Nick Dacos, no Josh Dacos. There's a lot of players else missing that I can't think off the top of my head right now. So just ones to watch. But yeah, we'll see how they go. And final question is from Tony Ford as well. Asking, is Blackiston a good starting option? So for those that didn't watch the game, obviously it was number one ruck. Vigo Vicentini played as well, so probably chopped into a bit of that time, but don't see that happening when it gets into the season. It sounds like he'll be the number one ruck, Blackiston, that is. And he ended up scoring 54 points against Nank, who's obviously can give up points, but still a good ruckman there, and 54 points with Sharing's not too bad. So what any boys who wants to go, Taezer, what are your thoughts on Blackiston?
Yeah, just quickly with Blackiston, I thought he was actually, in real life football terms, I thought he was so good and so impactful around the ground that they won't rush back Nick Bryan. I think if you've got stocks in Keeper League or anything like that for Nick Bryan, he'll still end up being the number one, but they're not going to rush him back early from a knee injury, because Blackiston looked like he was holding his own. He was winning hit outs. I don't know if he's going to score big, but he might be good for a 60 or 70 in real life, when football actually starts meaning something and there's maybe a few more stoppages and things count. But he's in my side, and I think he's a good option.
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah. Ditto. It's where in that defensive line he goes. Is it D4, as high as D4? D5? Not if. I think it's an absolute lock. Unless we hear Nick Bryan is ready for round 2, that may change things. But if we hear nothing or going to be round 4 plus, I think just an obvious starting pick. And then we can move him on after he's made a good chunk of cash quickly at the start.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just fit this one as well because it's best before just chucked in here. And obviously, Tay's been the Freo man, but he's saying, I know you guys discussed Freo in games in 2023-24 season when Young had over 75% CBAs. He took about 5 points away from Brayshaw and Sarong. Would you scratch Sarong as a starting pick? But is it just we would just want to see all those guys playing together? And I guess with Sean Darcy, I don't know if we'll get minutes next week, but do we want to see how it works with Jackson as a midfielder before, I guess, looking at any of those Freo mids and when they actually don't play in Gale Force wins?
I'm going to go ahead and scratch all of the Freo players until there's a bit more clarity about how they're going to fit in, because they're certainly tinkering with things, adding in Young and Luke Jackson into that midfield. There's a market share, and unless Freo start becoming a team that scores 1,600 points a week, it's going to affect everyone. And Freo in the back end of last year weren't scoring enough points that either of those guys can afford to lose 5 points. So I would scratch anyone for now. Have a look and see if that what that mix is going to be and what that market share is going to be of through their game style. But yeah, I don't have any Freo players in my team, and I didn't select any of them with high draft picks in my fantasy drafts.
Yeah, I like it. And Edgy also said thoughts on Jack Carroll. Just quickly, no Jack Sinclair. I want to see it with Jack Sinclair first before thinking about Jack Carroll. But he was good. He got, I think, 78, so he was impressive. But one to watch, along with a lot of other players in the Community Series games, which kicks off on Wednesday, which is exciting. And there's no clashing. They're on at good times. I'm not moving house this week, so I can actually watch them live, not have to go back and watch them late hours of the night and have to record stats for one of the games as well. But I appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown towards those match sim recap notes. You got a lot of nice messages and comments there, so appreciate all that. And if you want to maybe say a little thanks as well, but also get some bonus exclusive content and join in a big open cash league where there's not as many people, but you can earn, you can win a fair bit of prizes there. Head to our Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, big open league there. And the more people that join, the more cash that is on the line for you to potentially win. And first, second, third, get it as well. So if you want to help spot us a little bit extra, get some exclusive content and maybe hear me be a bit extra back and maybe some content in there, then you can head over there. Taze, you want to say something?
Yeah, I want our viewers and our listeners to lift their game and subscribe to the Patreon. We have an opportunity to get Bales to start with Tom Stewart and and Sam Taylor in
an
their
injured
side.
Sam Taylor.
An injured Sam Taylor, and he will do it if
Red
we
Dot
can
Luke.
get 1,000 Patreon subscribers. And I've got to say we're a little bit off the pace. So you need to sign up if you want to see this and let the most hilarious thing happen.
No. Don't want that. I've already got Sam Taylor behind me. I don't need him in fantasy team as well. But yes, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'll keep people updated how if we get close there, and might be starting to get a bit nervous. But boys, that is a wrap on the Match Sim recap. Long episode, but I think a lot of good discussion. A lot of important things there, and I think it was good discussion this time, but I think in the next, we just got a super chat from Best before. Thank you for the super chat, mate. The first one of the view. Very much appreciate that. Saying start Stewart. Got opening round to see. And if we get 1,000 patrons, that might be something we look at. But yes, no, I think
good at Origin.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. But I think we'll get a lot more definitive sort of answers in these community series games coming up. So it'll be really good to chat about those. But Tom, mate, thanks for jumping on once again. Where can the people find you across the socials?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Tom_Hales_. Looking forward to some slightly more interesting footy before the real stuff starts in a fortnight. We're so close.
Yeah, we're getting very, very close as well. I guarantee if anyone asks me to do anything Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, or Saturday or Sunday, not happening. I'm watching these games of footy. I need to be watching these. Taze, mate, thanks for jumping on once again. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, good times. They can find me on X at Taezer87.
Yeah, beautiful. And Jordox, where can the people find you across the socials, and where can they find Finders Keepers, and what have we got in the next episode?
Yeah, so I'm on X at Jordox 2020, and Finders Keepers is on X at FindKeepAFL. Go back and check out last week's episode if you haven't already. It's called Big Calls and Breakouts, and I've put up 5 big calls from myself for 2026, and one of them is that Will Brodie will play 20 games in the senior side for Port Adelaide, at least. So big calls. Go back, check it out if you haven't listened to it. Got something else bubbling away for the next episode, which I'll work through in the next 24 hours. It's a little bit up in the air, but definitely check out the Finders Keepers pod if you play in Keeper and Dynasty leagues, even if you just play in a single season draft league, because there's plenty of content on there that'll help you with the upcoming drafts that are coming our way. So go check it out. And yeah, that's it from me.
Beautiful. Thank you, mate. And you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials, and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. And you can also find Guesty at Tim Guest AU. And now that we've got him back from his off-season, hopefully we'll hear a bit more from him rest of pre-season into the season there. If you did enjoy the video on YouTube and you're watching right now, quickly go over, quickly smash a like on the video. It really does help us out a whole bunch. And also subscribe if you have not already. We're nearly at 4,300 subscribers, so we're just over 700 away from 5,000 subscribers. So if you can help us reach that big milestone, that'd be very much appreciated. Just click a button and you subscribed. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, 5-star rating and review would be very, very much appreciated. And as I said, for patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. Head-to-head episodes will be coming out. Another one tomorrow. Got DC jumping on, chat about a couple of forwards there. And then obviously we'll have another couple of episodes there. Some more videos coming. And then obviously we'll be reviewing community series same time next week on Sunday night after that last game. So looking forward to that. But thanks everyone for tuning in and enjoy the football. Coming later this week, we'll get some more games of footy, which should be good fun. So thanks everyone and enjoy the footy. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.